Hello, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Healing Forum. And so today's episode is entitled Getting Off the Wheel of Life. And what does that mean? What does that even mean? Getting off the wheel of life is what I would say is coming off of your patterns, your unconscious daily movement, the way that you eat unconsciously, things that you say that you're not paying attention to. And generally, it is just being in a pattern of life and you find yourself unhappy with your life, bored with your life, irritated with your life, stressed, just feeling, is that all there is to life? And so in times like this, when you're sick and tired of being tired, when you're so exhausted that you feel there's nothing left to live life for, and your passion from life is gone, it's good to think about getting off the wheel of life. So I started this years ago with patients that were doing a detoxification program. And I would say, we're going to do a 3-week protocol and you're going to get off the wheel. And they'd say, same thing, what's the wheel? And it's all those things that, kind of like the hamster going round and round the circle, unconsciously not knowing what's going on, but just living life with no love, no lust, no joy, just feeling like I'm here. I don't really know what my purpose is. And I kind of feel like there's no purpose. There's no life. There's no vitality. And so it's really changing your patterns, but changing it in a way that you become the observer. So you don't go unconscious, you become more conscious. You're observing yourself from that inner perspective, but simultaneously, you want to make sure that you're not judging yourself. You're not just looking at your life and becoming that inner critic. You're not the judge of your life. That's really crucial because, of course, you can look at your life, and we all do, and go, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. This is terrible, that's terrible, that person's terrible. But what's the point of doing that? There is no point, really. I mean, the point is you can just dig yourself deeper into a hole. But the point of getting off the wheel of life and becoming the observer without being the critic is that you get to just look and see and experience from a whole different point of view. And you start then to be able to change some patterns that I would say no longer serve you. There are things that you just need to let go of. And why? Why? Well, for all those reasons. And only you can really decide what those reasons are. Why are you so unhappy? Why are you unhealthy? What's going on? What's your motivating factor to change, to alter? And sometimes you just don't know that if you have a motivating factor until you stop, get off that wheel, stop running aimlessly and mindlessly, and start to look at the patterns that you've developed without even noticing it. Like every morning you wake up and you have a cup of coffee. Why? Just because you're so used to it. Every morning you get up and you read the newspaper. Why? Because you're just used to doing it that way. So what if you start to change and alter all those patterns? What if you now, on a 3-week protocol, don't have the coffee every morning? You will have an effect. You may get headaches. You may start to get cranky and irritable. But after a while, you're not having the cup of coffee. You're not putting 3 scoops of sugar into it. And your whole biochemistry, your whole mental perception, emotions may start to come up. I mean, and we don't know exactly what the changes are because this is your life experience now. And so I started the healing forum because of that very fact, that patients were going through a cleansing protocol and all this other stuff and gunk, if you will, started to emerge. And that really became the sounding board for the need for community, for discussion, and to understand the mind, body, spirit connection, how food really plays a role in that, and how food really plays a role, like so much sugar will have an impact. So much sugar can cause headaches, can cause gastrointestinal function, can cause diarrhea or constipation. For some people, it might be gluten products. For some people, it might be peanuts. I mean, everybody is biochemically different. And so there's no one size fits all really in anything, because medicine is not a science. It's really the art, and it's the art of healing. So we start with your big why. And a good place is to actually start journaling. So start writing down some of these things. Start writing down some of your perceptions, some of your ideas. But the important thing is, whatever comes up, be willing to let it go. Be willing to change the pattern of being your own worst critic. And so this is step one in how do you self-care? How do you put yourself first? That becomes part and parcel of your big why, because you're the matriarch of the family, because you're the patriarch of the family, because you're a solo, no one there in your family, because it's you and your friends. I mean, everyone has their own situation. Everyone's at a different stage of life, and how we experience our 20s is radically different than how we experience our 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and onward, onward, onward. So at every stage of life, there's something physiologically that's different. There's something emotionally that's different. And so, there are people that think, oh, I'm 50, but I really want to be 20. Well, you can recreate your body in a healthy way, but you're never going to see that number 20 again. It doesn't mean that you can't be as vital at 50 as you are at 20. It doesn't mean that you can't take care of yourself as well. It doesn't mean that there's an anti-aging process that you can do, but your body type changes, your hormones change. So there are things that are just as is, but so much of that is not as is, it's as you make it, and also as you think it. So what is it that's dragging you down? Is it just you that's dragging you down? Is it your thoughts that are dragging you down? Your relationships? Is anything toxic in your life? Is there a toxic environment? And that could be people, places, or things. So this is where the why is your why. It's not my why. I can't tell you what your why is. This is something for you to determine. Why am I unhappy? Why am I stressed? And you may not have the answers, but it's okay. You just need to start listing and journaling what's going on. And then you start to see the connection between the events and the feelings. It may be, I came off of coffee for a week. I had really bad headaches. Now, after 2 weeks, I feel great. I feel my mind is clear. What's the choice? Do I still want to go back to having that cup of coffee? Maybe, maybe not. So getting off that wheel of life gives you a change in perspective. And then in a mindful way, you make different choices. And those different choices will eventually lead you down a different path. So when you're ready to change, you start adopting new types of behaviors. And the army saying, be all that you can be. Yeah, why not? You don't have to join the army, but you can be all that you can be. We are miracle forces in nature. And so the idea is you can be anyone you want to be. You really can. And you can recreate from the inside out biochemically, because the biochemistry is constantly changing depending on the nutrients that we put into our bodies. And so we don't have constant control. I mean, we don't control the amount of red blood cells the body makes. We don't control the amount of white blood cells the body makes, but we do have somewhat control of our immune system, whether it's going to be healthy or not healthy, depending on our stress levels, our activity levels, the food intake, the environment, the physical environment, the chemical environment. So all of these we do have control of. And I will tell people, you know what? Act like your computer is your brain, and your brain is your computer. You can reprogram it without having to be a computer techie person. So we have some choice with our mindful approach to how we live, how we act, and how we speak. So take that back and let's see what your big why is. What is your big why for being healthy? And then the question is always, well, when? When? When do I have a chance to make these changes? I'm busy, my schedule, my life, my relationships, my job. I have no money. I have too much money. I don't have time. I have too much time. I have no ideas. I mean, on and on and on and on. We give these excuses for why it's not the right time. Well, guess what? There's never the right time. The time is just now. Present tense, present time, now. And you start with one step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. You've heard that. It's one of the things I think I put in my high school or my college yearbook, and I love that quote. It starts with the first step. It starts with the first breath, and things then follow. You know, there were experiences in my life where I felt like I fell flat on my face and I'd never get up again. Just dark. Health issues, relationship issues, you know, breaking out of a relationship, losing my job, someone taking my dog, someone using my car. I mean, on and on and on. There's always a million things. And I then taught myself at the ripe old age of 24, 25, that I could begin again with the first step and the first breath. And I've never forgotten that lesson in my life. And I like to teach that. Start somewhere, but start now. Start small, just start. Begin now. So the when question dissipates. It's not when, it's then how. How do I do it? How do I do it? Same way. You do it by being the observer and just beginning. And you start to journal one step at a time. And the most important thing, I think, is your intention. I started teaching the healing form using the model of Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And she would teach affirmations or mantras. And the one that I loved the most was, I am willing to change. And just in saying that, you feel, whew, everything opens up. It's the willingness. It's partly wanting, but it's even bigger than wanting, I think, because it's the willingness that keeps you right here, present, and it opens up to let go, if you will, of any adversity, any obstruction. Like, you don't even need to know how, you just need to be willing to be receptive. And in that receptivity, the idea is that now you are willing to let go of things, because you can't really recreate stuff until you get rid of the gunk, right? You know, you can eat as much healthy food as you want, but if you're not processing, if you're not digesting your food, if you're not absorbing your food, if you're not eliminating the waste, you're going to be all gunked up. If you don't change your car's oil, if you don't give it a tune-up, it's going to be all gunked up. So you can put the best gasoline in it, and it's going to be gunked up. So think of your body as the same way. You know, sometimes we're just running on empty. We've just kind of exhausted the spark in our life. And so we need to eliminate, let go of things, as I would say, that no longer serve you. You have to let go. You have to let things go. You have to change the patterns. And so very gracefully let it go and see what it feels like. And then take note. Start doing an internal dialogue with yourself. Let it go and be willing to change. I mean, we all fear change, some of us more than others, but change is the name of the game. We need to adapt. We need to keep moving. So it's one step in front of the other. Adaptation, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Think of it as the gunk that doesn't serve you, that buildup of stuff over the years. And there's a book that I love that I'm reading, The Body Keeps a Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And he's a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, and it's the same idea. So even in that specialty, the idea, he's a holistic, integrative psychiatrist, but the idea is let it go, because the body is holding on. And when the body holds on to that trauma, it has to release. So either through yoga, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, food plans. It's fascinating the amount of power and control that we actually have to recreate ourselves. So recreate yourself at any age. Start now, one step at a time, and be the observer of your life and not the critical judge. Use that as your self-care program and watch how things unfold and how things change, all for the better. So thank you so much for joining me. Please visit my website, nenechung.com. Join my private Facebook group, which is Body, Heart, and Soul Healing. And stay tuned. Like me on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and hopefully you're part of my community. There's lots of things coming up, lots of workshops, lots of different events, 3-day virtual events, some mastermind classes. So I'm here to support you on your journey to health and wellness and make your body a better place to live through joy and laughter. Thank you so much.